1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in. I'm Glenn Shelton, owner of Lead Heroes, your favorite insurance lead provider. And this is the Heroes Huddle Podcast, where we share sales strategies and marketing methods to help insurance agents succeed. For the second episode of our Heroes Huddle podcast, we start featuring insurance industry professionals who aren't agents, but can still offer agents something. Clu Connors is the owner of Radius, the winner of our review blog post of CRMs that we did back in March of 2017. If you haven't read that article, be sure to bookmark it because it will elaborate on many of the features that we discuss with Clu. And since we've done this interview, he's also announced several new features that they have released. So I'd highly recommend checking out their website to really stay up to date on everything they're doing. So without further ado, let's jump into the interview.
My first interaction, I guess, with any CRM, when I first started in this business, I'm working mortgage protection direct mail leads, which at the time thought they were the hottest thing I could possibly get my hands on. And my CRM consisted of about 5 to 6 folders. And I'm shuffling through, I've got stacks of paper, I've got different folders, they're all over the place. And I'm just like, man, there has to be a better way. It was just such a nightmare for me. I set an appointment, all of a sudden that mail lead is gone. And I'm like, where did I put that? Is it in my home office? Is it at the office in town? So yeah, I think CRMs are just absolutely critical to this business. And many people are behind the times. It sounds like you guys got started by helping someone out who may have been
your story isn't that much different than we're hearing today, even with new users that are signing up. And everyone's coming from various current situations, whether they're using, those 5 folders and shoving papers in them, or they've got the world's biggest spreadsheet known to mankind, or even index cards, or even, other CRM lead management providers. That's, not that there's the knock on the industry, but we are slower to, I guess, inherently start to utilize technology to its fullest. But you'd be surprised. I mean, there's a lot of people coming around and, getting a lot of good uses out of all the tools that are available out there, whether they're us or others.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One thing I was curious, with your knowledge in the CRM space, what do you think the biggest mistake agents can make with a CRM, whether it's your setup, your platform, or if it's a different CRM? What do you think is a really common mistake or just mishandling of a CRM system that you're seeing?
Yeah, I kind of like to say that the CRM is as good as the data is, right? And so you've got to be able to, bring in good data. You've got to be able to manage that data too as well, right? So you've got to be constantly updating the system as you're marketing to these leads, as you're having conversations to these leads. You've got to disposition, add notes. If you've got multiple agents that are in the system, it's just really keeping it up to date, because like anything else, if you don't do it for a few weeks, or if you don't do it for a few days, or you choose not to utilize it, you're going to have to go back and, start over again. So it's utilization, I guess, would be, the thing that we really try to drive home. And that's what we do on there, is trying to keep our users as engaged as possible, right? Whether it be rolling out new features, whether it be, real-time trainings, whatever it may be, is get them to use the system, get them to use as often as possible. And that's the end goal of Radius, is, right, to make their life easier from a day-to-day perspective, so they're not having to focus on that scenario versus writing business and converting leads and clients.
I think you hit it on the note. I mean, providing value, people are going to keep using your service, right? I mean, that's the same concept and ideal that I try to follow with Lead Heroes. So I think that's awesome that you guys are constantly, some people just kind of build something and then they just set it aside, right? And I see that with CRMs out there, where it's like it was unfinished or early development, and then they just kind of left it at where it was, and maybe they hinted that they were going to do stuff and never did. So, and I know you stayed true to that. I've seen Radius kind of evolve over the time.
The reason behind that, as Jeremy, who works for us, likes to say, we use it on our doc loop. So we're using the system on a day-to-day basis. So when an agent or an agency creates a free trial or is an existing subscriber, Radius is what we're in, managing that relationship with them, right? Or we're marketing to them to help convert and get them to sign up to utilize the system. We're not using it from an insurance agent marketing to, consumers, we're using it to market to agents or to manage our existing subscribers, but we're using it on a day-to-day basis. We know what we love about it. We know what we could physically and actually make better about the system too as well. And that's why we see these continuous updates that we push out. It's because we're in there every day as a group.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing, and I saw this question pop up online previously. Someone was asking, there was an agent asking about, tracking. So obviously a CRM, right, tracking your clients. I mean, that's the whole goal there. But their question was, and they were kind of coming from the angle of they already knew the answer, which is always wonderful. But the question was, is there a CRM that can track renewals for my insurance clients? And their answer basically was that no, there is none that exists out there. And I piped in and I thought, I'm pretty confident, Radius Bob, because I personally played around with it. I have clients I work with who use your system. We've integrated our dialing setup into your system. So I'm really familiar with Radius Bob. And I'm pretty confident you guys do track renewals. So
100%. And we're not, and there's a couple other solutions out there do as well. With Radius, there's really two sides of the house. There's the lead management side of the house and all those great features that come along with that. And then there's the client management side of the house. When you move them from a lead to a client, there's really 3 or 4 major things you want to focus on. Obviously, one is the effective date. 2 is the renewal date, obviously. And then the commission and renewal component that comes with those renewal dates and those products. Most definitely. So within Radius, you can configure products by carrier and define those commissions and renewals at the agent level. So you may have a multitude of agents that are in the system who may have varying levels of commissions and renewal percentages. And then you can build those specifically into the system. And then you can get even deeper if you want to get into certain lines of business or types of products, whether it's a Medicare supplement who, has a tier year component to the payout. So maybe you're getting X percentage for the first 3 years and then Y percentage over the next 7 years. You can build that structure inside the Radius. Or if you're on the P&C side and you've got what they call regular premiums versus commissionable premiums, you can put in the commissionable premium amount. So that tracks a different thing. We've got the ability to do Medicare Advantage. That's really based around the actual effective date. So it's got a different percentage based upon the 12-month calendar. And then your standard, even if you're getting a flat fee commission or renewal, so it's just $100, $200, $500, that's $10,000, whatever the number is, you can manage that commission and renewal too. And at the same time, so you can build out that structure, you can do reconciliation too within the system, right, on those commissions and renewals. Right. So the system allows you to say, hey, over the next 12 months, here's the amount you're getting paid per month. And as your statement comes in, you can actually put in the physical actual amount and the actual payment date and help track that as well. And then finally, just to, because we like to get really deep in the weeds, is you can run a commission revenue report. So you can, as you're tracking those commissions and you're reconciling everything, you can run a revenue report to see by carrier, by product, by agent, by date, obviously, to understand what's coming in the door, what will come in the door.
And for some of the small agencies out there where I know there's a lot of independent guys and there's also a lot of small call centers or small agencies, how does tracking overrides or tracking, commission splits, is that something that's easily done as well?
Yeah. Within the system, you can build your hierarchy. So whether you've got multiple locations, you've got X state and Y state, or you've got cities, or you've got LOA agents, you've got contracted agents, your contract with agencies whom are contracted with agencies. So you can build that downline structure, that hierarchy. And each of the users inside the system can have a certain percentage assigned to them. So as they view that lead or that client from a commission or renewal perspective, they're seeing their cut, i.e. or their override. So if I'm the writing agent or the street agent, I'll see my percentage. If I'm the agency owner, I'll see my percentage. If I'm the upline of that agency owner, I'll see my percentage. So yes, you can do that.
Talk to me, and then something you hit on there too when you were talking a minute ago, you mentioned reporting, being able to pull reports, which, I can tell you from my background working in a corporate sales environment, the biggest companies out there are doing, informed decisions based on data reporting, right? So I think if you can take that and use it as an independent agent or as a small agency and make those informed decisions based on data-driven sales, I mean, it's a huge, if you look at it and you say, you know what, we're closing all these people between ages 67 and 73 for Medicare supplements, but everybody over 73 we're having issues with. Something simple like that, and you could pull a report that, and then you can change how you're targeting your market. Yeah,
if you're the independent single agent who's writing Medicare business, or you're the large corporation who's writing, multitude of commercial lines. Yeah, the data is going to help. It shouldn't make every decision, but it should drive most of your decisions on what you should focus on and where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, for sure. Within Radius, you can run what we call a customer report off of almost any data set inside the system. And then we've got some pre-built canned reports that allow you to run certain things. A feature that we like, because we utilize it every day, is you can build what we call save reports and push those save reports on the dashboard, because we like to see things at a daily level or weekly level. I could spit it out in pie charts or bar graphs or even downloadable CSV files, whatever it may be. But yeah, you're 100% right, Glenn. It's just, the data is so imperative these days to how you should be driving and operating your business and where you should focus on or not focus on potentially.
Yeah, I went to LeadsCon this year, and I was actually just looking at my Twitter feed. Any listeners out there who want to follow me on Twitter, Lead Heroes, @LeadHeroes. It's a crazy awesome Twitter feed. I will be the first to attest to that right now. But no, I sent a couple tweets out during LeadsCon, and one of them was during the Velocify presentation, and they tracked like 40,000 leads, I believe, that were entered into their system. And they were saying that a third of leads never even got called. And being able to track that as a agency owner, right, or as someone who has a downline, being able to sit there, I deal with agents every day. I know you interact with plenty of agents as well. If you get someone who's coming to you and they're saying that the leads aren't working, or, I didn't make enough money this month, and then being able to do so, and I'm assuming something like that would be easy to pull from your system as well, right?
Yes. So when a lead is put in the system, our client, we date and timestamp it within the database, and we have a running clock that runs in the background that we call days touched. So that's a number that's displayed every time you update the lead, whether it be adding a note or changing a disposition, updating the phone number, whatever it may be, the clock resets itself. So you can literally tell, looking at a lead or a multitude of leads, if they have been touched in 20 days or 30 days or 1 day, whatever it may be. And the other thing that, that we kind of like from an agency owner perspective, because to your point about Velocify and their 40,000 leads, so my math isn't great, but a third of those leads haven't been touched. That's a lot of money, Glenn. That's a lot of money that's sitting on the table.
That's a ton of money.
Both from a lead perspective to get access to those leads on the marketing side, as well as the commissions and rules that will come with that conversion of those leads, right? So
yeah, it's one thing to have bad leads or to deal with a prospect that is telling you no. That's one thing, but to not even take a swing, that just makes me, as someone who offers leads to agents, that just makes me hurt inside.
Yeah, no, it would have been cheaper for that agency owner to just give the agent half of the cost of the lead, because they would have been saving money, right? They weren't going to do work.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And I was trying to remember the statistic, and I can't remember if they said it in this presentation at LeadsCon or not, but I believe it was something like the leads market is $20 billion or $200 billion. So when you think a third of those leads are never contacted, it's $1 billion loss, a multi-billion dollar loss every year.
A lot of money on the table for sure.
Crazy.
And your competitors, if you're not touching them, they will, right? They're going to reach out to you, they're going to market to them, they're going to do everything they can.
Someone will. That's right.
Yeah. And what I was going to the point of not touching leads within the Radius system is that we've got some automated workflows, and one of them really is around if a lead isn't touched in a certain amount of time, and you as the agency owner can define that, it takes that lead and it puts it into assigns it to another agent automatically. So it sweeps the book of business and moves that lead elsewhere to the agent that may start to work that lead. So
efficiency. That is awesome. Hard to do when you're dealing with stacks of paper. Trying to, you're going off your own handwritten notes. That's awesome.
The problem with stacks of paper is if the fan gets too high, it's going to blow the stacks of paper everywhere, right? So
keep the windows shut.
Yeah, it's like sweeping the book of business there. Yeah, other agents, right?
Literal sweeping. I get the broom. You get the broom. You have to sweep the papers.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. One thing, I personally haven't used it, but I noticed when I was poking around in your system previously, that email marketing you guys have, you kind of have that built in. You got all these awesome features just kind of baked into the CRM system, but I was going to go on the record with an official guess that it's the most underutilized feature in Radius Bob by agents or agencies. I could be wrong. What do you think?
I agree and disagree. So it is underutilized for sure, but it's still utilized. I mean, let me paint this picture, Glenn, of what can be done and what most of our subscribers are doing out there. But so just imagine you're getting a lead from leadheroes.com, right? And that lead's coming into your radius automatically, right? So your organization's able to push that lead into the agent's radius.com account automatically. The bells and whistles start to kick in. So the autoresponder, so an email will go out to that lead automatically. Say, hey, thank you for contacting Mr. Agent. He will be reaching out to you momentarily, right? And so you've got that autoresponder that goes out. That triggers a whole drip campaign once that lead comes in the system. So that drip campaign is completely defined by the agent or agency of how they want to do business. The content can be customized to the specific touch point. So whether it's 5 hours later, day 2, day 10, day 30, 50, 60, whatever it may be. So all these emails are just sitting there ready, waiting to go automatically once that lead's coming in the system. But yeah, I mean, email is the biggest opportunity from a feature perspective to be utilized, and it's still semi-underutilized within the system. But, we're slowly educating the user base to how they can really maximize the opportunity when it comes to email. And it's the automation of it, right? So it could scare someone to say that, oh yeah, you've got to send out 15 emails in the span of weeks to really penetrate and touch that lead and get them to call you back. And they're thinking, oh, I got to manually send out 15 emails. No, not at all, right? You build it once. Not that you set it and forget it, but you build it once and that lead comes in from leadheroes.com and it just starts to fire off automatically. So.
No, you're absolutely right. Unfortunately, most of our leads do not contain email addresses. We have one lead that does, but I mean, something that I took away from LeadsCon that a lot of the agents were saying, the most different ways you can touch a lead, the better. Some guys would, if they had like opt-in information, they would text the lead across the board. Is there another feature that you would say in your CRM system that's more underutilized than the email marketing?
The most underutilized feature was we had built in a live chat for users. That was the feature that never got used, and rightfully so. But no. I think
live chat with you guys?
No, internally inside between users, right? So if you had a 10 users account or 20, you could actually do live chat internally with each other.
Gotcha.
That went nowhere. We made some doozies in our day, and that one was one of them. Probably because it's fairly new, Glenn, from a feature set. The voice offering, which we've just rolled out in the past, officially the past month, but it's been going on a little longer. For years now, people wanted us to do a few things. One was build in an auto dialer. Everyone needs an auto dialer, predictive dialer, whatever it may be, if they're calling leads or clients. And so we integrated with a few other providers out there, and that kind of worked for as long as it did. And I'm not sure if your listeners out there are familiar with the platform Twilio, but a telephony provider that basically has the backbone from a telephony perspective, has created hooks or a giant API that systems like ours can hook into and add on these great type of features. So our voice offering, where it starts at the click-to-call feature, it's a preview dialer, just basically generate a list inside the system, either manually or automatically, launches the dial queue and starts dialing out automatically. And then we've got the inbound call too as well. So fairly new feature. I'm going to say very underutilized. Once again, we internally have been using it for 4 or 5 months now. We're making it better, but it's pretty good to begin with. But then you could even go into things such as custom form fields, right? So to the point of, can you customize a system out there? Yeah, you can. Radius has got a great baseline, a great foundation from an insurance agency perspective, but we know everyone operates their business a little differently. So just getting people to understand that they can create custom form fields and create custom coverage types and those type of things, probably one of the things that we can always do better as a group to help people understand how they can tailor to their specific needs.
I noticed last time I was poking around in there, you guys have a knowledge database. Do you have, and I believe, you have videos in there of kind of different features?
We've got about 15 or so video tutorials that range on specific topics to kind of a general overview. Danielle, who's been producing more videos as of late, has just come out with a new kind of 5 to 10 minute overview of the entire system. But from the standpoint of when you create the account, going through the entire setup process. And then we do a lot of webinar 30-minute training when people get started with the system.
That's awesome. What I love about your system is it's simple enough that you can jump right in and start using it, but then at the same time you have all these features like all the ones you've been explaining, and maybe you have to watch one of these videos or maybe reach out to you guys to get some brief training on, but you have the complex features for advanced users. So I feel like you really kind of take care of both sides, which I think is awesome.
The independent agent who's solely focused on the ACA and that offering is going to operate the system much differently than a small commercial business that's writing lines of business and somewhere else.
One question I get asked all the time from agents, it's, well, what's the closing percentage, Glenn? If I buy leads, how many should I expect to close? And it's one of those questions I personally hate. And not because I think that the leads we offer aren't going to close well, but when it comes to the individual agent or the individual agency's sales system and their follow-up process, it's a completely different number. If an agent dials all the leads once and we go off of those closing percentages, and then if I have an agent that's using your system, they're getting a hold of almost every single lead, and then we're going off of their closing percentage, it could be double. So, one question I had for you, and I'm not sure if you guys have ever tried to calculate this, but what sort of ROI do you think an agent can expect from using a CRM system like Radius Pop?
I couldn't agree more with the statement around. There's a multitude of factors, and it's at the individual user level or the agency level when it comes to how once they've captured the lead information, how they're actually utilizing that information and going after the lead. So I'll look at the ROI question maybe in two ways, right? One is the business owner, I'm outlaying cash for a system. What am I getting in return? And I could simplify it to this point of a single agent, we charge $34 a month, right? $34 a month. Right. So 12 months, $408, roughly or exactly, because I know the number.
Roughly.
But so if you look at it from that perspective, if I'm the user, I'm paying $34 a month. If I convert one lead, what's my commission on that lead? It's probably more than $34. It might be more in the $408 over the span of 12 months, right? So if Radius helps you simply convert 1 to 2 leads, and then you multiply that by maybe a number of users, your return on investment starts to be phenomenal as you continue down the path, right? So looking at it from that perspective. Now let's take it from the perspective of the bigger bucket of, hey, am I using a CRM? Am I not using a CRM? Or am I using a lead management tool? Or am I using this one versus that one? Yeah, I mean, holistically at system-wide level, we don't look at that because there's so many factors. And then also, from a standpoint of we don't dive that deep into our subscriber database from that standpoint. I'll use it from how we use it on a day-to-day basis. When we weren't using it as heavily when we first got started versus what we're now, we saw a 10% increase in conversions. As we customize the content from the automation of emails and the touch points and the text messages, we're seeing that creep up even higher up into the 15% better than we were without it or when we weren't using it as much. A lot of factors in that once again, but that's how, from our business perspective, what we're seeing when we didn't and when we do, and as we continually improve, right? So you can't be satisfied with that 10% because there's so much more out there you can gain from there. So you've got to start squeezing more out of what you're doing, modify it, change it, so on and so forth within the system. And maybe instead of 5 touches, you go to 7 touches. And maybe instead of the span of 6 weeks, you're bringing it down into 4 weeks with more touches.
Be sure to check out our blog on leadheroes.com, where you can find a transcript of today's episode along with some helpful slides to recap what we covered today. Thank you everyone for listening, and as always, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. We'll see you again for the next Heroes Huddle.